Mischa Zvegintzov took Russell Brunson's challenge to publish daily for a year, just like I did. But he admits that he hasn't had the financial success other podcasters achieved. And he doesn't care. With painful vanity metrics and inconsistent downloads, he still landed an FBI top 10 most wanted guest, speaks confidently to 200-person audiences on just 2 weeks' notice, and built unshakable credibility by focusing on service instead of metrics. In this episode of Podcasting Secrets, Misha reveals why only 100,000 out of 5 million podcasts stay active, the underrated growth hack of physically showing people how to subscribe on their phones, and his 5-step framework for asking hard questions guests actually want to answer. If you're chasing downloads before building confidence or avoiding vulnerability to look polished, this rewrites the entire game.
Welcome to the Podcasting Secrets Show, where successful creators share their best stories, secrets, and strategies. I'm your host, Nathan Gwilliam.
Hello, incurable creators, and welcome to this episode of Podcasting Secrets. I'm your host, Nathan Gwilliam. Today, I am joined by Mischa Zvegintzov. Misha is the energetic, deeply reflective, and unapologetically authentic host of the Table Rush Talk Show. His mission is to help founders and creators embrace the messy middle, uncover the truth behind their roadblocks, and transform their inner turmoil into forward momentum. Through Table Rush Talk Show, he brings conversations that go beyond metrics, diving into identity, growth, faith, personal evolution, and the unseen moments that fuel transformation. Misha's gift lies in asking the questions others avoid and turning personal battles into powerful lessons that entrepreneurs can apply immediately. Thanks for being with us today, Misha.
Indeed, Nathan. Beautiful interview, intro. Thank you so much.
Of course. Hey, can you start off by sharing with us something most people don't know about you?
Yeah, I guess I don't talk about it very often. I've been in the recovery community or sober since 1986. So last day of high school.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And how long sober have you been? Since 86?
Since 86. Yeah. 39 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is truly remarkable. What is your secret to success?
You know what? As we like to say, trust in God, clean house, and work with others. I am very active in the recovery community, so I'm constantly for free serving the recovery community, mentoring guys, things like that, volunteering, and then try and reduce my own ego as much as possible. For any churchgoers out there, they're trying to believe in God or things like that, and then clean house is take accountability as much as possible. So, for example, I was very arrogant yesterday, critical of somebody else in our space, and my arrogance was just shining through. And I called the guy back and I was like, yo, man, your boss, who I was very arrogant towards and about, like, I'm so sorry, man, my arrogance. I just was in a defensive position, Anyway, there you go.
Yeah, I hate it when I get in those positions. What advice do you have for us to get out of that spot when you're in it?
Yeah. I have this framework. It's a 5-step framework, and apply. So acknowledge that I'm in upheaval of some sort, and then pause. Try and ground in the moment. Pray, say a little prayer, like, God, how can I be of service here? Or, God, give me the right thought or action, or higher power, or whatever you want to say. Universe, people have different perceptions.
I'm right there with you. I agree.
Yeah. And then pray, listen. So listen, what's that answer? So if it's with our significant others, for example, maybe it's like give a hug or be quiet or things like that, right? And then yoke. And if you think about yoke is a yoga term. That means embrace that, like embody that.
Okay. I like it. That's great advice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Misha, can you share with us about your journey to become a podcaster? Not your journey once you became a podcaster, but share with us your life journey up to that point of time.
Oh yeah, what a great question. I was very successful as a salesman. I was in tech sales for 5 years, got my chops, telemarketing, going door to door to tech companies, selling data co-location, or what people call hosted services now, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, Ended up in mortgages, had a very successful career for 15 years. Made like 1 million phone calls, literally telemarketing. Yeah, sent out flyers, got the phones to ring. The teams that I built, we funded $1.5 billion in home loans. That's a lot of home loans. So you have to have your systems in process. And basically, I hit what I would call my death, divorce, failed relationship, career upheaval years, where everything came unglued. Divorce, burned out at work. Both my parents died in rapid succession, like within 2 weeks of each other. Mom knew it was coming. Dad, heart attack, hiking in Wyoming in the mountains he loved. But I just hit this state of burnout and basically retired for about 4 or 5 years. Got my kids through school as a single dad. And then I thought naively, I'm going to rebirth and master online marketing, because I was more old school, right? Telemarketing, flyers, things like that. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to figure out this online marketing. Jumped in Russell Brunson's, let's call this 2CCX. And he basically said, hey, start publishing every day for a year. I know we kind of.
That's how I got started, was that promise too.
Yes. Yes. And you'll never have to worry about money again, I believe is what he said. And so he said, start a podcast, start a blog, or start a YouTube channel. And I thought, man, I'll start a podcast. I just was fascinated by the medium. This was about 5 years ago, and I started my podcast. So that's how I ended up here.
Mine was in 2020. Was yours right about the same?
Yeah, 2020. COVID
Yeah.
coincidentally, right? I know so many
Yeah.
people COVID was at a life transition for me anyway. So yes, it was the COVID time. Start a podcast like so many of us.
So how did that promise come to pass in your life? Did you see a substantial financial impact from accepting and keeping that challenge?
So I know that you had that worked for you. You started your company, you started this platform, right? For me, it's
Yeah.
been, I have not had the financial success from podcasting that you have had or that others have had. And I've actually just started monetizing it recently. But so to answer your question, no, that exact promise did not come true for me.
Do you think it will if you keep on this path?
I absolutely do think it will. Podcasting is such a great outlet for me, both to express myself, to practice frameworks, to practice talking. When I say practice, it's like it can be the front end of ideas. So you start talking about ideas. I can literally jump on any podcast at any time, like this one, and I'm ready to go. You can drop me in front of a camera anywhere. So much has come from it, for me, that I know in my heart that I don't need to worry about my finances as a result of the journey, but perhaps the riches haven't come yet. And maybe they don't. It really doesn't matter to me, honestly.
Okay. All right. So you took this challenge from Russell Brunson. You'd worked in mortgages. And why did you choose to pursue podcasting? I mean, just the challenge from Russell, or was it deeper than that?
It's a great question. Again, thank you for asking. 5 years before, maybe even 6 years before, I stumbled across this guy named Kyle Cease, and he's like, start a podcast. I had him as a coach for a bit. Start a podcast. And so I had actually bought the mics, and I have one hiding right. Where is it? Right there. It's the Shure MV88. It's kind of blurry right there, but you can plug it into your iPhone. And I started recording everything, and I started recording my thoughts, and I started interviewing people, but I did not publish any of it. And so it took me 5 years and that little nudge from Russell Brunson to say, start posting every day for a year. And podcast, a podcast was the natural next step for me. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting when decisions become the natural next step in our lives. The kind of that resonance is a good way to identify that we're on that right path. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it's hard to know what the next step is, but it's nice when it's easy to see that next right step. Okay, so you decided to start podcasting. Tell us about your journey to become a podcaster.
Yeah.
Now that you are a podcaster going forward.
Yeah. Excuse me. So so many of us have started podcasts. I believe we're at 5 million and counting podcasts out there or something like that. And the amount of podcasts that make it past 3 episodes is tiny. That make it past 10 episodes is even tinier. Like, it's a minute amount. I believe right now as well, out of the 4 or 5 million podcasts that are out there, on any given day, only 90,000 to 100,000 are active.
Active meaning they publish in that given day?
Correct.
Okay.
And that could be people riffing. I kind of classify podcasts into 2 groups. You're riffing, so it's just you talking about your thoughts, ideas, life experience, whatever it is, or you're a coach, or you like to talk about sports or crypto or the stock market or politics or true crime, whatever it is. As well as then there's interviewing. There's the interview-based podcasts. Yeah, so I want to make sure I'm answering your question. I took a course. Russell Brunson had the How to Start a Podcast course, and it was by Parker Woodward, I think his name is. It was Parker and somebody else.
Was it Dave's son?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Great little course, and you planned out your first 5 episodes or 10 episodes. You had your who, you created your podcast name, the artwork, and all these things. And I believe it was 5 episodes. And so the first 5 episodes were easy. And then from there, it was like, uh-oh. So then I basically started interviewing people. I had this idea to interview people. And I was also wanting to do these riff episodes at the same time. And I immediately hit that wall of, what am I going to talk about? And honestly, what I started doing was I took that little mic, right? There it is, the MV88, the Shure MV88. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but you can get like podcasts. And I would just go for a morning walk every day. And I would do a 15-minute little riff on where I was, what I was thinking. And I was like, I don't have an audience anyway. What am I worried about? Who am I going to offend? And I just committed to doing that every day. So I started talking into the ether, basically. Anyway, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. I feel like
no, this is interesting. Keep going.
Yeah. So I started talking about what was going on in my rebirth into online marketing and what I was learning, and I was interviewing people, and started with my friends, and then started reaching out to other people. And I listened to the Minimalist podcast. I don't know if you've heard of the Minimalist podcast.
I have not.
It's fairly large. It's a big podcast. It's one of the bigger ones. And they have this massive YouTube channel with 1 million or 2 million or 3 million followers or whatever it is. And I have this mortgage history experience. And so I hear him interview this guy, Cox. What was his name? Matthew Cox. It was a great interview, but he was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Got arrested, went to prison for 13 years or whatever it is, gets out. And it was, I think he wrote a book. I think it was called Shark in the Mortgage Pool or something like that. Right. And I was like, okay, he was like the first guy outside of my sphere of influence that I was like, well, why not? I've got mortgage experience. He went through a rebirth process. He's talking about his time in prison. I was like, I could have a fun conversation with this guy. So I email him, hey, I just heard your interview on the minimalist podcast, and it had gotten like 500,000 views on YouTube. I don't know what the actual podcast load numbers were, but I was like a wing and a prayer. And a day or two later, he replies back, "Heck yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast." And I was like, "What?" I kind of
Isn't that so cool how as podcasters we can have these amazing conversations with these people?
absolutely. And podcasting has given me so much credibility, and it opens so
Yeah.
many doors for me. So outside of the monetizing the podcast, it's done so much for me in that regard, confidence, things like that as well. But anyway, he says yes, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it reminded me of high school dating, because all of a sudden I was like, oh, he said yes. It's like the girl says yes, or a boy, whatever, yes, I'll go on that date with you. And you're like, oh my God. And then you're like, oh wait, I got to get him there.
Now what?
They got to show up for dinner now. And so I got him the calendar link. I think that's probably when I got Calendly too. I was like, oh my gosh, I better get professional. Let's get the Calendly set up. And he booked. And yeah, so that was the nudge from the universe that I needed to keep at it. And
An interesting point about what you just said is often just doing it gives us momentum, right? When we have the courage to take that next step, it then forces us to do the next things to be able to execute and pull it off, like creating your Calendly account. Sometimes just moving forward is the best way to keep that momentum going in our lives, right? Just keep taking that next step.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm a Gen Xer, so we were very much, I'm sure the younger generations are like this as well, or the newer generations, but definitely Gen X, we were like, you keep showing up, keep doing the work, just keep doing it, keep showing up, and inevitably you'll be the last person in the room. I had this mentor, his name was Ken Sulzer, and he was the CEO of what's called Sandag, which is the San Diego and Riverside and Los Angeles County, like the highway funds, the train funds. He was like, they deal with $1 billion projects, right? And he would say, Misha, just keep showing up. He goes, I was the last guy available to be CEO. I just kept showing up. So anyway, yes,
Okay.
go.
That's great
Yeah,
advice especially with the podcast. Just keep showing up.
keep showing up.
I wonder how many of those podcasters that quit after 3 episodes would right now be bigger than Joe Rogan if they had just kept going.
Yeah. It's such an interesting thought process or mind game. We could call it so many things, but we can internalize or be freaked out, or our egos can take over, and we'll think, well, I'm going to offend somebody or not. I don't think that's really it for me. It's like, I'm going to look stupid, but it's like, I've got no audience anyway. And I'll tell you honestly, I'm constantly focusing on service. How can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? How can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? And if you have that attitude, and let's say I do 100 episodes and I have 5 downloads and one person gets something from it, I've in effect been of service. And so I'm just constantly, how can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? And then trust that I am being of service, because a lot of times we don't get to know for a while. I was walking down the road one day, because I walk a lot. I live on the Pacific Ocean, so I can walk what's called the 101 in Encinitas, California. So I'm walking on the 101, and this jogging lady goes running by, and she stops all of a sudden, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're that podcasting guy." I was like, yeah, yes, I am. And, and just random that she happened to be in Encinitas. Like, I don't know, she knew me. She knew my face from podcasting, and I had a true fan. I didn't even know it.
Well, we got to start somewhere, right? You got to have that first one.
You've got to start somewhere. I'm going to reiterate this too to all your listeners, that if we can let go of the metrics, the vanity metrics, and really move from service and inspiration as the pull forward, like I literally, my podcast will open incredible doors for me, more than I'm even aware of at this point. And whenever I try to leverage the fact that I have the podcast and I've done X amount of episodes and I've got 100 plus reviews on Apple, and it opens a door like that. And I don't even use it as much as I could, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The confidence that I have to speak anywhere at any time. I got asked to, this is what happens to me. Some people get booked months in advance, but somebody came to me and said, "Hey, our speaker canceled," and this is for a live event, and they've heard me speak before via the podcast and things like that. And so on a Sunday afternoon, they said, "Hey, we've got a room. We need you to be the main speaker. We know you can do it. There's going to be 200 plus people there. Will you do it?" And this was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I said, "Heck yes, I'll do it." They said what the topic needed to be. I quickly, framed out what I was going to talk about, and crushed it, and had the confidence to say yes and trust that I could do it, thanks to podcasting. And let me tell you something. If that's all podcasting did for me when I started, and you said, "Hey, all this is going to do for you is give you the confidence to speak anywhere at any time in front of an audience. That's all you get. Will you do it?"
You'd still do
I'd
it.
still do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Today's episode of Podcasting Secrets is brought to you by Pod Allies, the done-for-you podcasting services solution. When I speak with CEOs about their podcast, one of the most common comments that I hear is that they know they need a podcast, but they don't have time. Have you ever wondered how some businesses find a way to still run their podcasts while juggling their crazy day-to-day operations? The secret might be simpler than you think. Let me introduce you to Pod Allies. This is a service that's changed the game for businesses in the podcasting world. Pod Allies is a done-for-you podcast production and marketing service. They understand that while many businesses understand the immense value podcasting can have for their business, finding time to produce, syndicate, promote, and monetize a show can be challenging. Pod Allies offers a dedicated team to handle virtually all aspects of your podcast production. From strategy and branding to audio and video editing and guest scheduling, they've got you covered. They even take care of creating blog posts, transcripts, and syndicating your content across multiple platforms. What sets Pod Allies apart is their use of PodUp, their proprietary podcasting software suite. This allows them to streamline the entire podcasting process, saving you time, effort, and a bunch of money. If you're ready to become a thought leader, connect with your audience, and grow your business through podcasting without all of the investment of time and cost of doing it yourself, Pod Allies might be the perfect solution for you. To learn more or to schedule a free consultation with a podcast expert, visit podallies.com. That's podallies.com. Now back to the show. Yeah, I've gotten the same benefit from podcasting as well. I was at a church congregation a couple months ago, and one of the higher leaders of the church, not of the specific congregation, was there, and the speakers didn't use all the time in the meeting, and so he called me from the audience up to the pulpit to speak with no advanced preparation, and greatly because of my podcast, my comfort level, I was able to do it, and I got up there and I felt very comfortable with what I said. And that is a huge benefit that you can get from podcasting.
Absolutely. Before we started as well here, I was having issues with my camera, things like that. And we sorted it out. Here I am on camera, but it's not how I want it to be, but I'm okay. I've had enough technical issues podcasting where I'm like, it's okay. Just go, everything's reversed, or I'm not centered how I want to be or whatever. But once you get used to those kinds of those even technical issues, it's very freeing. It's very freeing. Yeah.
Can you tell us about one of the biggest challenges that you have faced in your podcasting journey and how you got through it?
It was absolutely in the beginning days having zero vanity metrics. It's so hard. It can be so egoic. And
so you had vanity metrics, but they were zeros, right? That's the issue. Okay.
I did have vanity metrics.
Make sure I was understanding. They're just very low vanity metrics.
Yes.
They were painful vanity metrics.
Painful vanity metrics. And honestly, some weeks it still feels the same.
I can relate. Yes.
Yeah. And so it wasn't technical. It was not technical. And as a matter of fact, when I go back and look at the beginning of my journey and the video of it and what the room looked like and how my mic was and the headphones and the sound, I've always been a sound guy, so I've always had good mics, but the visual side of it was very marginal at best. But but go on.
No, you're fine. Okay, so let's talk about storytelling. Storytelling is one of the differentiators for you in your podcasting. How can podcasters uncover that core story that separates their show from every other podcast in their niche?
And my question is, because I knew this question was coming, so I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a great question. I knew it was coming. And let me check. What is my answer? I'm glad I got to pre-answer this. Okay. I'm gonna say this. I have my written out 5-step answer, but I'm gonna break it down differently. I'm gonna say, anybody watching, listening, look for the Venn diagram of your interests and find that center point where it meets and go with that why. Simon Sinek says it so brilliantly about how to find your why, and he talks about that Venn diagram, that intersection of your interests. And I love the spiritual stuff, the mindset stuff. I love the entrepreneur stuff. I love the marketing stuff. So you find that little center point and start speaking from there. And I can always fall back on that. What should I talk about? What should I talk about? What should I talk about? Or who do I want to interview? Or even more better, anybody can jump on my show. But if I find that little Venn diagram intersection, it makes the interview a lot better. Or not better, more poignant for my audience. Yes? Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah. And you don't just find it for you, but you find it for your guest, right? What is the why of the guest?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think being willing to risk, I'm very willing to ask questions and be curious and ask the hard question. And ironically, I don't think it's a hard question for the guest to hear. I think it's a hard question for the host to ask. Because as a host, we're like, oh, should I ask this? Should I not? Not that we're going to be inflammatory or something like that, but willing to go, well, I love spiritual stuff. Let me ask the guest spiritually minded questions and see what I get back.
Yeah, that's right. Being willing to not be vanilla, being willing to throw some amazing flavor in there. Yeah, I love that. That's great advice. Ask the hard question. Ask maybe what's not politically correct, and that can make things really interesting.
Absolutely, and frame it respectfully. So it's not, if that's the way you want to go. Some people like to be in your face and like, I'm going to catch you off guard, but I like to be respectful.
That's not much fun to be a guest on a show where a host's doing that.
I hear all the time. I'm actually going to make a sizzle reel of this, but I hear all the time from guests, oh my gosh, you're such a great interviewer. Oh my gosh, you're such a great interviewer. Or that's such a great question. I've told you that about 7 times already. But it'd be fun to have a sizzle reel, but it is because I'm willing to ask that hard question, frame it in a good way, and give the guest space to answer it. So what do we would say we could call that identifying the angle we could
Yeah.
take. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also built a repeatable framework. So it's called My Podcast Producer, but I have the same flow of questions, the same framework that I'm guiding somebody through. So I always can lean on that. And then Chat GPT and the large language models, LLMs and AI are so powerful because now I've built out these processes where a guest can come on. I have AI do the research on the guest and then literally build the question flow for me. And then I also have it make 20 backup questions just in case that I call it my question vault. And then I have it make me the key, like the highlights of the guest. So I can sit down 20 minutes before the interview and just be ready to go. Know the key points about the guest if I don't know them. Have the question flow ready to go. I call it my show flow. Anyway, repeatable frameworks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to do that. It just takes a little bit of time to do that preparation.
Yeah.
So for new podcasters who are trying to get good at storytelling, what are the biggest mistakes that they make? And how should they avoid those?
I think two words are thrown around. What am I trying to say? People are like, be authentic. It's so easy to say, be authentic or serve or lead with value. That's the other thing. Lead with value. It's like, what does that actually even mean? You know what I mean? Like I look at who's the guy that just did the $100 million launch. He's got the book
Hormozy, Alex Hormozy.
Hormozy. Yeah, he's always, these guys are always, so people will be like, Alex Hormozy leads with so much value. And I watch his clips and then things like that. And I'm like, what's the value? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Not that he's not bringing value, but.
You're just so smart. You already know everything he's teaching.
Yeah, there we go. But I'm like, how much value can we bring with a 10-second clip? I guess a lot because he's bringing a lot of value, but authentic. So I think when we start as podcasters, we start speaking on stage or we start wanting to do all these things or start something new, my inclination can be to exaggerate a little bit and not want to be authentic in where I really am. So, for example, to come on here and say, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. And a lot of times I don't have many downloads. Like, that's a reality. Yeah.
It's a reality for a lot of podcasters, the vast majority of podcasters.
Yeah. And so I think be authentic and stretch the truth as little as possible would be one. This is the truth of the matter, too. If you're an introvert, start a podcast and be an introvert, right? Because an introvert's going to listen and go, I relate. So maybe you talk really quietly and you wear sunglasses if you're doing it on video or whatever being an introvert means to you. Those people will find you and love you. And I think that is the way to move forward and try to be authentic to the voice. So I'm fairly outgoing. I've got a powerful voice that projects, but I don't need to make that a 10. I can just be a 7 and it's okay. Does that kind of make sense a little bit?
Yeah, it does. So how do we create safe spaces where guests feel comfortable sharing their deep or emotional stories?
That's a great question. I try to give an experience and then ask the question and say, for example, I had this, or so that way there's some vulnerability. Be willing to be vulnerable first. How about that?
Yeah. I think that's the best advice. And you did that really well in this episode, right? You talked about faith, which then made me feel comfortable I could talk about faith. You talked about low downloads and some challenges you faced and volunteered that, which then made me feel comfortable. I didn't have to be perfect. That's a great strategy to help others feel vulnerable by being transparent and vulnerable ourselves.
Yeah. Yes. The other thing to create an environment where the guest feels comfortable sharing is to ask a question and shut up and be ready
Yeah,
for
that's great.
silence, right?
As I'm interrupting your question.
I I I was in sales for so long, and one of the hardest things to do is to shut up. Like ask for the credit card and then shut up.
Yeah. Give them a chance. Let their processing happen.
Yeah.
Okay, how can I ask better questions to unlock those transformative moments in the podcast besides shutting up?
All right. So first off, whenever I jump on a show to interview somebody, whenever I'm going to interview somebody, I center and think of working from a place of service. Again, how can I be of service? What can I bring to the table? So I'm walking into the interview. I'm going to interview the guest from a place of service. Okay.
Yep.
Then be vulnerable. Be willing to ask
Yep.
that hard question. Be quiet. And I mean, those are the key things, right?
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, what's a highly effective but underrated growth strategy that most podcasters overlook?
Oh my gosh. When somebody asks you what you do, tell them you have a podcast. I don't care who it is, sister, brother. This Christmas, anybody listening, if this happens to be published before Christmas, you're going to meet new people and they are going to ask you what you do. Don't tell them about your girlfriend. Don't tell them about your job. You say, I have a podcast. And they'll say, you do. And you say, yes, I do. Pull out your phone. And they're going to pull out their phone. And then you say, fantastic. Do you use Apple or Spotify? And they'll say, whatever it is. And then you go, great, open it. And then you go, good, click on the search bar, type in, for me, it's the Table Rush Talk Show. That's my podcast. Type in Table Rush Talk Show, 4 words. They type it in. And then you're like, follow, comment, listen, whatever. If they don't, they say, well, I don't have a podcast app. Almost everybody has an Apple. I say, see the purple thing? Click on it. And it says, download the podcast. People are so interested at that point, or download the app, that they'll literally go through the process with you. So I think to answer your question, an underutilized strategy to grow your podcast is to tell everybody you know, when they say, what do? You say, I have a podcast, pull out your phone. Follow these steps.
Yeah. And leave me a review.
And leave me a review. And I'll even say this. This is what happens. Because people will go, well, I haven't listened to an episode yet. And I go, well, just tell them the truth. Just put in what's the truth. You just met me. Put in there, I'm arrogant. I'm a nice guy. You're so sweet. You're funny. Like, just be authentic to the moment. And they go, oh, okay.
Misha, if our audience has enjoyed this episode like I have, and they want to learn more about you and your show and all these other amazing things you do, what are the best ways for them to do that?
LinkedIn. I hang out on LinkedIn most these days. So just go to linkedin.com. You can type in my name, Mischa Zvegintzov. There's not many of me. And I'm actually, I'm going there right now. It is, I believe it's it's Misha Z. Mischaz, or just type in Mischa Zvegintzov. You can butcher the spelling.
We'll try to put a link to that.
Yeah, there we go.
Blog post and in the
there you go.
Show notes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for being a guest today. Thank you for all the value that you added. And I recommend that you go check out his Table Rush Talk Show as well. And pull out your phone right now and put in his name, Table Rush Talk Show. Make sure you leave him a review and get some of this Mischa Zvegintzov wisdom.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I can't believe I didn't even bring up my podcast right at the end there.
That's okay. You taught me how to do it.
Yeah, there we go.
You gave me a chance to practice what you taught me.
Indeed, Nathan. So much fun. Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course. Thanks. And here are my key takeaways from this episode. Number 1, focus on service over vanity metrics. One person getting value from 100 episodes means you succeeded regardless of download numbers. Number 2, tell everyone you meet about your podcast and physically walk them through subscribing on their phone immediately. Number 3, just keep showing up. Most podcasters quit after 3 episodes, with episode 21 being the major drop-off point. Number 4, use AI to research guests and build question flows with backup questions ready in your vault before interviews. Number 5, find the Venn diagram intersection of your interests and speak from that center point consistently. Number 6, be vulnerable first to create safe places where guests feel comfortable sharing deeper emotional stories. Number 7, ask hard questions respectfully, then shut up and let guests process without interrupting their thoughts. Number 8, podcasting builds confidence to speak anywhere at any time, which alone justifies the entire effort. Number 9, let go of ego and stretch the truth as little as possible. Introverts should podcast as introverts authentically. And finally, number 10, early technical imperfections and low production quality doesn't matter that much. Start before you're ready and improve as you go. If you're looking for a great all-in-one podcasting platform with more than 60 integrated tools, including 18 AI tools and 11 monetization tools, I challenge you to visit podup.com, where you can get a free trial of our PodUp platform. And if you need a podcast, but you don't have time, I recommend you visit podallies.com, where we have more than 40 different services that help busy CEOs and others to record and let us handle everything else. Thanks for joining us for this episode. I wish you success as you turn your passion into profit through podcast monetization.